want to dive into the winter of sports that we have coming up with
100%.
NFL,
Yes.
We should.
NBA, NHL. I have taken the liberty of giving you guys some power rankings so far. Now I know the season's already started, but it's still pretty fresh. So I figured now would be a good time.
Let's do it.
It's time we put in our bets, put in what we think, even if you're not an expert. I don't know, what do you guys want to start? NBA, NHL? Start with the NBA.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, why don't we start in the East? Now, I'm not huge into basketball because hockey's kind of my go-to winter sport, but ever since last year, my roommates were really big into basketball.
Okay.
And so I have began to follow it a little bit. One of them is a huge Lakers fan, so he's sort of my my go-to guy when it comes to knowing everything there needs to know about the Lakers. And he says that they're looking healthy. They're supposed to be good this year, and they should be able to make a hard playoff push.
I'm excited to see how the Lakers are going to do because I'm a Lakers fan as well. I used to watch it back when Kobe Bryant used to play.
Oh yeah.
Rest in peace. I mean, they had a good team, and that really, watching them play, it excited me. And I'm a Lakers fan. I really, for the Western Conference, I'd love to see them just shine. East Conference, Charlotte Hornets personally, just because North Carolina fan.
How do you think they're going to do this year?
Lakers or Hornets?
The Hornets, if we're going to start in the East.
I would love to see them do well. I'm curious to see. I keep up with more of NFL, but at the same time, I don't know. I have high hopes.
They have them at 19.
19. So kind of middle of the pack, probably a little bit towards, on the bottom tier.
Yeah.
Underdogs.
Who do they sort of have going this year right now?
They got LaMelo Ball.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still have Ball, don't they?
They do. Yeah.
Which one is it? Is it?
I think it's LaMelo.
Yeah, it is LaMelo, yeah.
So many Ball fucking families.
Because Lonzo's up in Chicago, yeah. They've got LaMelo Ball. They've got Bridges, who just can jump out of the gym. I think he's real good. I think they still have Bismack Biyombo as their starting center. I don't know. I haven't looked at their roster in a while. They got Gordon Hayward, and he's supposed to be back to not where he was when he was playing in Utah, but he's supposed to be kind of back to where he was that first season in Boston before he hurt his ankle.
Right.
He should be pretty good. I could see the Hornets making a serious push for the play-in tournament. I wouldn't be surprised if they end this year in 7th, where they just have to win a game to secure their spot.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting. The East is always such a mixed bag because it's usually the weaker conference just because it seems like the teams in the East usually only have a star player.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they really only have the power, the pull to bring in a single star player. Where you have your exceptions with the big two now in Brooklyn with Harden and KD, minus Kyrie.
Is he not going to play this year?
So the team officials ruled out that unless he gets the vaccine, he just needs a single shot too. You just need the ruling in New York City is that if you are not at least one shot vaccinated, you cannot go to work.
Right.
You can't go to stadiums.
Considered his office,
right?
Or his workplaces. So can he play in away games?
He can play in away games, but
you only have him for half the season.
The home games, he's losing money.
He's losing money, but the Nets decided. They said, "Listen, if you're not going to participate in home games, then you're not going to participate at all." I don't want to say his antics, but they decided that he would be a distraction in the gym. Even if he came and practiced, every single day that they had practice. And he could practice with them. He can't play in home games, so you're taking away valuable minutes from someone who could be using that in practice to practice with the ones instead of having to run with the subs. And then also he can only play for away games while doing his Instagram lives and whatnot. Which that's his stance. That's whatever if that's his hill, he can die on it. Good for him or whatever. I would say get vaccinated, but. I'm not going to force
Especially
my
how much
opinion.
money you're losing. I mean,
you're losing a lot of money.
Yeah,
you're losing almost $200 million.
Yeah, and that's really going to mess up, I think, the team chemistry that the Nets have going on. Just the fact that is hovering over the coaches' heads, the players' heads.
It's a distraction.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And I'm interested to see how that's going to impact them. But if we look here, so we were talking about the Nets, we were talking about the Hornets. According to TeamRankings.com, the Hornets have a 40% chance of making the playoffs and a 0.3% chance of being the champs this year.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So you're saying
there's a small chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Small chance, but kind of like you said, they're on that borderline of making the playoffs. At that 40%, and so it's really just going to come down to the grit of the team. Are they going to be able to, to come through with it? And
right.
Where do they have Brooklyn at? So they got Brooklyn up top, 91% chance of making the playoffs, and an 18.4% chance of being the champs, which is actually the highest percentage on this entire list. Number 2 coming in at your defending champs at the Bucks at 18.1. So really, it's not that far of a percentage, but
it's doable.
Right, and I feel like this year is going to be the same thing as last year, where it's kind of the East flipped the script again. Like I said, where they used to be the weakest conference. Now they're the conference you want to play in, and it's going to be whoever wins the East is most likely going to win the championship. While the Lakers do have a great lineup. And while teams like the Utah Jazz are coming in hot, the Mavericks, all of the teams in the West are solid. I just don't see anyone competing with either the Bucks or the Nets.
Yeah,
and I can agree to that.
I can see that.
The way the Bucks finished the year last year, they looked like a team that had a chance of making a run at multiple, not just back to back, but a couple of championships, like a dynasty in terms in like the same. Like talks with the Golden State Warriors and like the 90s Bulls, where they were going to the championship every single year back to back.
Giannis is on a whole different level of basketball. He's insane.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the weapons he has behind him too, I think is
Chris Middleton is a great shooter, and honestly he's a great leader. Like where Giannis is kind of the more reserved player, Chris Middleton really stepped up. And he had a bunch of key plays in the championship last year that helped push them, above and beyond where everyone thought they were gonna be. Everyone thought they had the idea of championship caliber, but if they were ever gonna actually pull it off. And I think the combination of Chris Middleton, Giannis, and then Drew Holiday as their kind of like de facto big 3, I think it makes a really good combination of players that want to win and will do what it takes to continue to win.
Another team let's pick on maybe 2 more teams in the East here. Boston's always a big one. A lot of Celtics fans out there. Yeah. Me personally, growing up in Detroit, I'm a Pistons fan. Pistons have always had their little beef with Boston. But we don't need to talk about Detroit. Let's just for funsies, for anybody back at home, Detroit has a 3.9% chance of making the playoffs. Keep in mind, Charlotte Hornets had a 0.3% chance of being champs. We have a 3.9% chance of making the playoffs and a 0.0% chance of being the champs this year.
I like those odds.
I will take the odds on that one, Vegas.
You throw that on the underdog and they happen to win. Ooh. You're set for life.
How about it? How about it? Bummer.
Honestly, the Pistons, I haven't followed them for a while. They've had so many people rotate off their team. Like, it's so hard to keep track of who's actually on there.
Here's the thing: is that Detroit can get people in, but once they stay there for a year or so, they're like, this is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
We wasted. I wouldn't say we wasted like careers with like Chauncey Billups and Ben Wallace.
They won a ring.
They did, which is what they needed. But ever since we lost them, we brought in Blake Griffin, which we thought would be a big part of the team, and he got out of there as quickly as possible.
So y'all are trying to get your group together and still finding it.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough year to be a Detroit fan. We'll get into that. We'll get into that as we go through the rest of the sports, just to prove that Detroit's probably gonna be at the bottom of all these lists in just about every single sport.
Growing up, though, I was the same way. My brother and I pretty much only watched the Lakers because of Kobe Bryant. So, like, if I had a team, I would pick the Lakers. But, like, I don't know. I like watching basketball so much that if someone asked me my favorite team, I just default to the Lakers. But, like, being in Ohio, I do watch a lot of Cavs games. Or being from Ohio, I do watch a lot of Cavs games. Mm-hmm. But, I don't care. as long as there's basketball on. If I can watch it, like if I can see someone dunk, someone shoot a three, hoops, am I right?
Understandable.
What do we think about Zion this year?
Yeah.
What do we think Zion's going to do this year?
I mean, the problem with Zion, obviously he has the trouble of staying healthy. He had surgery on his foot. He's out. They still don't know when he's going to come back. I think when he's in the game, he's a definite difference maker, a threat. Yeah. Like he is a
game changer.
He's a game changer. He's a superstar. Whatever word, whatever buzzword you want to throw out there to describe someone who's got this potential of shocking the crowd. Zion has it. It's just he's got to work on staying healthy.
Yeah.
And I know there was a report that people were worried about his weight. I mean, he broke his foot. Like you can't go out running. You can't really condition when you break your foot and you get surgery on it. So like I think the worries of him being overweight, are silly. He's a great basketball player. He's going to continue to be a great basketball player for the years to come. I think once he gets healthy and he gets back on the court, things are going to look great for the Pelicans. They made a bunch of moves. They lost Lonzo Ball, but they have Steven Adams, I think, which gives them a chance of having a real center instead of having to play Zion at the center. And so he can play the 4-3 position that he was kind of used to. And I think he's just going to be one of the great basketball players, this year once he gets back into the game.
Worst case scenario, they can always just put him in a wheelchair and just let him just roll down the field.
Honestly, yeah. He'll still get foul calls.
Right. Yeah. One more team we should dabble on, and then we're going to put in our predictions for the season. Let's talk about Golden State real quick, because there has been a lot of rave going on that they're back, and they are coming out, and they want to come in hot the way that they did a few years back, that they're healthy and Steph Curry's gonna be back on his game.
I think it's all true. I think
I agree.
They have a good team.
I agree with you.
They have a really solid team. I think they got rid of a lot of problems, and Kelly Oubre Jr., who didn't really want to play off the bench, he wanted to be a starter. He was having a lot of pushback between himself and the rest of the team. A lot of the team didn't like him. That was a storyline from last year. But Steph Curry is going to do Steph Curry things. I know we're already a game in. Came out with a triple-double. Ridiculous. That's his first triple-double in, I think, 5 years, something like that.
I mean, it shows. All it takes is one game. Even though it's only one game,
it's still significant.
The chemistry looks better. The team looks better. They look more as a unit as they did, last year.
Right. I mean, and when you have the two best shooters in NBA history, and I'll say that, you might say Reggie Miller is better than Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is an amazing shooter. If he has, that single second to set his feet, the ball is most likely going in. And Steph doesn't even need to set his feet, which is unfair to everyone else. But the combination of those two, plus who I think is one of the best all-around basketball players in the NBA right now in Draymond Green. The man can do anything.
Sure.
He might not be the most efficient scorer, as, people point out, but, he has games back in, 2016 when they lost to the Cavs, where he went off and scored, I think, 36, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I mean,
he has those games in him.
He has them in him, but he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to have them when you're surrounded.
Because he's got everything. He's got weapons.
You have a good team,
right? Plus, they have Iggy back. They have Andre Iguodala back. Yep. I think just that combination of the core that won the championships being there, minus Kevin Durant. I think it's just gonna have that spark that Golden State needed after 2 very down years to come out and play great basketball.
Yeah, they almost have that mentality we have what we need, we don't really need KD. We can pull this off.
They still have the star players.
Yeah.
They were just really when you hear about Golden State, you kind of hear about Kevin Durant, you hear about Steph Curry, you hear about the key names, but you don't really look at the overall picture. They have a good team. They have a stacked team. They're all talented. So, and now that Kevin Durant's not there, you have some shiners.
Yep.
So.
All right, let's put them in. We'll start with Dylan, and we'll work our way over. Pick your winner of the East, winner of the West, meeting in the finals, and then who you got on top. And then for our tiebreaker, put in how many games.
If I'm being practical, if I'm being just greedy, I'm going to say Hornets for East, let's go. But if I'm being practical, I mean Bucks for the East. They have a good shot. They're looking good. West, I'm just gonna stick with the Lakers. I gotta stick with Lakers.
Okay.
I love to see it.
Who you got on top?
Lakers.
Lakers. How many games?
Let's keep it.
How many did the Bucks won in 6 last year? Right?
Yeah. They lost their first 2 and came back.
You know what? I'll say 5.
5?
5.
Lakers in 5. Honestly, I'm gonna have to stick with the Bucks. You know, I think, like we said, the distraction with Kyrie Irving, I just think it's gonna be too much to overcome. The Nets are a great team, but I just think the Bucks, they have that potential to be great for a while. Honestly, out of the West, I'm gonna pick the Jazz. The Jazz are an overall really good team with stars. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Mike Conley, I think, is going to get back into his form that he was in Memphis. I think it's going to be not shocking because everyone knows that the Jazz are usually fairly good. They had the best record in the West last season, I believe. I just think that they're going to finally make that leap into the finals.
Right.
But
get through the playoff grind.
Right. Yeah. Saying that, I still think the Bucks are going to win. I think the Bucks are going to repeat.
Okay.
I just think the Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday combination is just going to give so many people so many fits, and then they have a bunch of other people that'll knock down a 3 on you that you never expected. The Bucks are too good right now.
It's hard to argue that, and a part of me wants to take a different Eastern team just to shake things up, and if I were to pick another one, it would be the 76ers, just because I feel like that they would have the closest. I think they have a lot of stability through their regular season where they keep everybody going. It just seems like in the playoffs they just don't seem to put it all together. I gotta stick with the Bucks. I don't think the Nets are gonna be what they should be this year. I think maybe next year might be a different story when maybe they kind of get all of their pieces in a row. So I'm gonna have to take the Bucks in the East, but in the West I'm gonna go Golden State. We'll shake it up a little bit. I'm gonna go Golden State. I think this year. I mean. Again, everybody's only played 1 game. But
still early.
This Golden State team looks really good. I think that come playoff time, everybody's going to step up. Klay Thompson needs to stay healthy, which is going to be the most crucial part for them.
For sure.
I mean, same with Steph Curry, but he normally makes it through the regular season pretty well. But when it comes playoff time, Steph, Klay Thompson, Iggy, I mean, it's hard not to take them. So, come finals. I don't know. As much as you got Lakers, right?
I have Bucks. Lakers.
I gotta go with the Bucks. I have to.
I don't blame you.
They'll probably end up getting a repeat just because. I mean, I'm just looking at other sports. Tampa Bay, they just had their repeat, so repeats are not out of the question in any sport right now. All right, well they're locked in, and we're gonna hold it to it, and we'll come back to it, a little bit more down the season, how our teams are looking, and then I'm excited to see what they do for the playoffs.
Thanks again, guys, for watching the No Flex Club on the 384 Show.
If you want all the content all at once, check out the podcast, the No Flex Club, and click right here.
I hope you guys enjoy watching this video provided right here, and hope you guys like the stuff.